Experimental design, chapter 1.2. We'll be talking about this experiment design word with um, somehow the partner opposite word, which is the observational study. So experiment is the manipulation of the environment. You can do that and obtain the data. And observational study, you really cannot manipulate the condition of the uh, situation. So experiment has a little more control, and observational study, you really don't have a control. So what we mean by that, we'll look at it from the example. So first, the experiment, and then while we're talking about experiment, there are a couple of interesting words will take a place as well. So for example, let's think about AIDS and cocktail treatments. So we all know what AIDS disease, the AIDS, and then one of the kind of old, but they've one of the first treatment of AIDS is actually cocktail treatment. And as you can probably guess, it is just combination of all kind of different kind of pills, and you take it at one time. In particular, this example, your variable, the doctors who care about is something called CD4 cell count. So anyway, so that will be our variable. So experiment, you will have a treatment group. There's a control group. So probably for the treatment group, we're going to give the cocktail treatment, and the control group maybe sugar pill or some existing drug or something like that for the control group. There are a whole bunch of patients has AIDS. And you randomly assign a portion of patients in treatment group and the rest of them in the control. So there's randomization going on there. And replication means that not only one patient here and one patient here, but a whole bunch of patients are here and a whole bunch of patients are here. This is the simplest setting for your experimental design. Another example, slightly less serious example, regular exercise and resting heartbeat. So, for example, we want to know whether you regularly exercise has any effect on resting heartbeat. So here's your two group, exercise group, control group. So for the exercise group, you want them to exercise for an hour. Control group, while they're exercising in exercise group, you're just gonna watch TV. And the same kind of situation, there are a whole bunch of people who probably volunteer for the experiment. You randomly assign a whole bunch of people in exercise group and randomly assign the rest of them in control group. So there's some randomization going on and replication. Again, once more, replication means just there are a whole bunch of people here and a whole bunch of people there. And after that, say for example, 100 individuals are randomly assigned to two group. After 4 weeks, we'll measure each group's resting heartbeat. Again, kind of different example, but same situation. You do the experiment design. Then you're gonna compare these two group, and for this example, resting heartbeat. So you can make a conclusion. So we're going to talk about some observational study here. However, let's actually pretend that we want to do experiment. For example, lung cancer and cigarette smoking. So you want to know whether you smoke cigarette or not has anything to do with lung cancer. So your variable is probably you develop a lung cancer or not, type of thing. And you have a two group. So something like that. This one will be your smoking group, non-smoking group. You have a whole bunch of people here. You randomly assign the half of them in the smoking group, the rest of them in the non-smoking group. Again, we did the randomization, replication, make them smoke for a year, let them not smoke for a year, and then after a year, you see whether they develop a lung cancer or not. So that's a perfect experimental design setting. But what's wrong with that experiment? Right. I mean, it's unethical, right? You cannot really do that and, make people smoke from random people smoke in the smoking group and, not smoke in the non-smoking group. So you cannot really, certain times you just cannot do the experimental design. Then can we ever actually study something like that, lung cancer versus cigarette smoking? What would be alternatives? Maybe we'll just ask for people who already smoke by choice participate this study. And then there will be some people by choice, non-smokers, and participate in this study. And then you compare those things. So that's what the observational study is. So you cannot really do the randomization there. If you do that, what would be actually the catch? So say, after 1 year, you would find there are more percentage of people actually develop the lung cancer. Cigarette companies might actually argue that, well, those results are not because they smoke or not. Maybe your group of smokers already, by choice, they tend to exercise less. They tend to have a bad lifestyle, the more dangerous lifestyle or something like that. It's not because of the smoking, but it's because of the other factors. So since you didn't randomly assign people into two groups, you cannot really control that. They are actually almost the same, except smoking or non-smoking. So the whole point is when you do the observational study, it will be hard to argue the causation. There's association, but it will be hard to say that smoking causes lung cancer because there's no random thing going on. It wasn't experimental design, but it was observational study. We can skip this one. So difference cannot claim causation. That was the key point.